Hey everybody, meteorologist Brad Panovich here for SkiSoutheast.com. Super excited that we've got our first blast of wintry weather. Typically, I would do my first ski season forecast the week of Thanksgiving, but this year we've got it a week early and Sugar Mountain has opened in the Southeast. So the first resort of the year is open in the Southeast. We'll talk about the pattern this weekend and more importantly about next week because that's when a lot of the resorts are going to try to open. So let's focus on what's happening right now. We still have snow showers up in parts of West Virginia, Western Maryland, even North Carolina. We're still seeing some snow. This is not your typical northwest flow event, though there was a small element of that. This was more this big upper low, which moved over the Great Lakes. And because it had some moisture of its own, as well as some moisture from the Great Lakes, it was able to produce some pretty good snows. The highest total I've seen in North Carolina is about 7.5 inches. Between Beach and Sugar, you could argue about the amounts of 6 to 7 inches. Might fluff up a little bit more to 8 inches if we get some more snow showers today. Up in West Virginia, that's what I'm really waiting to see. Snowshoe really got clobbered with almost a foot of snow. There was about 6 inches last night. It's still coming down Canaan Valley, Timberline. A lot of the resorts up towards Wisp are getting some pretty good snow right now. And a lot of them are trying to make snow, but even though it feels like it's cold enough, you're going to see some of the resorts struggle to make snow until probably tonight and the next couple of nights. Because we've got some moisture in the air. The one thing about snowmaking, it's just not cold. You need cold, dry air. And while this air is cold, it's not particularly dry. So we're seeing some humidity issues, which are affecting snowmaking. Now, trust me, a lot of snowmaking is going on, but it's not the perfect snowmaking setup. So I would expect most resorts are going to be making snow tonight and again tomorrow night. But then as we go into Sunday, probably going to be a little iffy. And early next week, we're going to see a warm up. But it's not bad news. We already seen that Snowshoe is going to delay their opening a little bit, but they're hinting that possibly next weekend they will open. They're not going to open on Wednesday because of the warm up early next week. But there are signs we could see better weather next week, and I'll explain. All right, so there's more cold on the way, but there is a warm up for late this weekend, early next week. So think of Sunday through Wednesday going into Thanksgiving. Not great. It's going to be warm, but this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. So going into the end of next week, the first thing you notice is that there is below average temperatures. And again, that's what this chart shows. So when you see this chart, remember, it's not the degree of cold. This doesn't mean it's really cold right here. It just means the chance of being cold or below average is high, 90% chance. And remember, below average, it can only be 1 degree. I don't think it'll be just 1 degree, but this is showing below average temperatures for the middle of next week. But next weekend, let's go 8 to 14 days. Look at this. This is what we want to see in the Southeast. So it is going to get cold again next weekend after Thanksgiving Day storm. That Thanksgiving Day storm is the one that's going to usher in these colder temperatures, meaning we're not only going to get some more natural snow likely next weekend, but maybe a prolonged period of cold temperatures that will allow for optimal snowmaking. So I think next weekend, the target opening date is looking really good. Now, let me show you what this looks like in the long range. All right, so let's get into the forecast here. You can see the system this weekend. This is moving out fairly quickly. The reason we warm up late this weekend, you see this ridge of high pressure which builds over the Gulf Coast. This is actually the setup right here that is going to bring a southwest wind. You know the southwest wind. That is not what you want to see as a ski or snow lover here in the Southeast, because this is that dreaded blowtorch that supplies some warm, drier air for at least, I'd say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but it doesn't last long. You can already see a dip in the jet stream developing out west as this storm system. This first cold front doesn't do a whole lot. It actually knocks the ridge down, which is what you want, kind of just moderates things. But it's this second system right here. You can see this developing by the middle of next week. So this will be like Wednesday into Thursday. So Thanksgiving Day, we're likely going to have some moisture over the Southeast. It will likely be rain initially, but as it pushes through, you could see a transition to snow as we go likely into Friday. And by next weekend, this is what I want to see. Look at this setup. See the isobars coming straight out of Hudson Bay or Canada, coming out of the Arctic. So this is even a colder air mass than we have right now. This setup here is what you want to see. This will be a true blast of cold air. And you can actually see the model hinting at picking up some lake enhanced or lake effect snow showers moving southeast. So there could be a northwest flow event for many areas of the Southeast. And you can see as we go through next weekend that this potential is going to be there. And once that cold air gets locked in place, I think not only natural snow, but a couple days of really cold temperatures. So this is a good pattern to see. And my winter forecast would be kind of reiterating this. La Nina setup right now means probably warm and dry, but the one thing about La Nina winters, I will caution you, This is somewhat of a kind of mixed bag for the mountains. This area in here tends to see kind of a battleground, a little bit of everything. So the real warm, dry air tends to be over Florida and parts of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. But the mountains back into the Ohio Valley, this is where things get interesting in La Nina winters, especially weak ones. Potentially, you can still see some active weather. The only thing that's interesting about it is you tend to see warm ups and cool downs. So a lot of transitions of up and down, but not consistency warm or cold, which honestly is not a bad thing. I'd rather have that than be consistently warm. So something to keep an eye on the rest of this winter, but this is a real good sign. Next weekend, really good opening weekend set up for many areas of the Southeast.